Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Whovians from all corners of the galaxy, from all across time and space. It doesn't matter your planet or species of origin out there, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of those situations where many of us out there were very excited when we heard that Russell T Davies was returning to Doctor Who. Now that this Disney deal had been laid out, that they was going to get a whole bunch of money. And holy cow, ladies and gentlemen, has it been an interesting roller coaster to say the least. So I ran across this article from Deadline that asked, Doctor Who's regeneration, has the Disney gamble paid off? And I think it's a very interesting article because it comes to some basically mixed bag kind of conclusions overall. But some of the insights, some of the inside sources that Deadline has gives us a very interesting perspective and a very interesting look into behind the scenes of Disney Doctor Who and how much money they have spent. Because boys and girls, it's looking like they have spent over $100 million on this show. That's a huge investment. That is a lot of money. And boys and girls, whether you've enjoyed the show and the new iteration and all of this kind of stuff or not, at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. 2 plus 2 still equals 4. And we've got some very interesting numbers in this article to get into, boys and girls. And there's also some interesting speculation as to whether or not what the future of Disney Doctor Who actually holds, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, I do call it Disney Doctor Who because even IMDb has it split into 2 different series right here. You have our original series here, at least from the new Who, when Russell T Davies originally relaunched the show with Christopher Eccleston. And of course, right there, they see that ended in 2022. They literally do consider this a new series. So yes, it is indeed Disney's Doctor Who, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got a lot of information in this article. We're not going to go through the whole thing because a lot of it's just speculation and a lot of it's just kind of bolstering and nonsense like that. But we might end up potentially getting a couple of different videos out of this. So for right now, we're going to get into the numbers of this, how much they've spent, and whether or not it has paid off in the ratings. So boys and girls, we're going to check out this article, get you all the juicy details, and see exactly what these numbers end up panning out to and whether or not this over $100 million investment in Disney Doctor Who was actually worth it or not. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe and or follow if you have not already, because we have just recently passed 800 on both Rumble and YouTube, and I could not do that without every single one of you. And also, leave us a comment in the section down below whether you're watching this on the live stream or we're recording it live, or if you're watching this on the replay later on, let us know what you think about this, whether our math adds up, and whether you like the show or not. Can you disagree with our math? So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this. From Deadline, Doctor Who's regeneration. Has the Disney gamble paid off? Those lucky enough to attend May's Disney Upfronts at the North Jarvis Center were treated to clips, teases, and appearances from some of the world's biggest stars. In the spotlight from the Bob Iger-led Mouse House with hits from Disney's stable, including The Acolyte, Welcome to Wrexham, Abbott Elementary, and a wealth of ESPN sports shows. The combined budget must have been astronomical. Oh, and we know it's almost $200 million for The Acolyte, and that's only what we know so far. But almost completely absent from the upfront festivities was Doctor Who, the iconic British sci-fi that Disney Plus now co-produces with the BBC, following what was undoubtedly one of the biggest global TV show deals of the past decade. Doctor Who was handed a minor bit of real estate at the North Jarvis Center, but its lack of front and center placements may spin a yarn about the series' position in the Disney's priority log nearly 3 years on from the deal being struck. So now we're going on to their article just goes on to talk about the fact that now the season has concluded, that Disney's first season of Doctor Who has concluded. Disney Doctor Who is now over. Has this investment paid off? Now, this is the interesting part about this because they get into some of the money and how much they've been in there. So it's a Sin Supremo. Davies was the man trusted with the showrunner duties in the latest iteration. Paired with a Disney-driven budget boost that well-connected sources have estimated more than doubled the show's per episode investment to around $13 million mark, which the deal valued some around over the $100 million. Now they put it in pounds, but over the $100 million mark at $13 million an episode. Boys and girls, there have been 8 episodes of Disney Doctor Who released so far. right? This isn't the second season, which is already done and wrapped, right? This was all part of the deal with the BBC, as they were going to get 2 seasons out of this no matter what. So the second season has already wrapped, boys and girls. So that's just $13 million per 8 episodes for the first season, not to mention the 3 specials that you can count as well, bringing us up to, what does that equal out to? 11, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and then you can add the Christmas special on top of that. Do they actually count the Christmas special in here on the 8 episode list? Let's go back over to the episode list over here real quick, because like I said, they've already got season 2 listed in here as well. Yep, the Church on Ruby Road. There you go, the Christmas Eve special. So literally 11 episodes, boys and girls. That is like $130 million that they have spent on this show just in the first season. $130 million just in the first season, if Deadline sources are correct, which Deadline's generally not going to publish things if they are going to investment. So now the question is, now we know how much they've spent just on the first season of Disney Doctor Who. What has that worked out for them, boys and girls? Well, they've got the numbers in here as well, because it's one of the things that's going on here, because obviously the critics and a lot of other people are trying to say it's middle of the road, but also at the exact same time, some of the critics out here are at best, and this is one of the one things I love, I wish they would have included the Daily Mail's headline in this, because the Daily Mail's headline for what the first episode was, that first special, what we saw David Tennant back that all of us were so excited for, yeah, it's epic. But check out some of the ones that they do decide to include. Jordan, who shares his name with the well-known UK drama producer, believes the critical verdict was somewhat guided by the worst episodes by a distance, Space Baby kicking things off. It was described by The Guardian as a textbook example of a mid-ranking Who installment. And The Independent says a promising idea that never entirely comes to life on screen. And these are the people out there who are literally like the kind of, just they're the shills, they're the kind of people that are the access media that we talk about all the time. These are the people that depends on getting their early access and getting to see these things soon, on them at least not saying horrible things about these shows. They try to keep this as nice as possible. And come on, boys and girls, you know the critics that I'm talking about. None of you can deny that there's a lot of people out there that do that, even though you can absolutely objectively say things are bad. And objectively is what we're going for in this particular video, ladies and gentlemen. I have plenty of opinions on the new seasons of Doctor Who, but objectively is what we're going for. So we know that they spent at least $130 million estimated on just the first season of all of this. So how are the numbers going for all of this one here as well? So when it comes to ratings, a complex picture has developed. Well, it's not all that complex when you just look at the numbers that we have to use right here, because they're going to try to spin a little bit of a yarn about this, but at the end of the day, 2 plus 2 still equals 4. And you cannot deny that these ratings are significantly lower than even during the Jodie Whittaker time. And some of these episodes have had the worst ratings of any episode in Doctor Who's history. How's that a hint at what how well that $130 million investment by the Walt Disney Company has turned out for Disney Doctor Who? A complex picture has developed. In the UK, the first episode from May launched with a disappointing 2.6 million overnight viewers, miles behind the opener of previous Doctor Who Jodie Whittaker, and also shipping 2 million from the Tennant starring specials. That's 4 million total. That's insane. That's insane. We've done the episodes all of how much of the audience they've lost. They've lost millions of viewers. And you know what? They can go, wow. And what the BBC excuse will try to come up with is because they don't release iPlayer numbers. All they come out there and say is that, well, on-demand numbers are doing much better, yada, yada, yada. But they don't give us the numbers, right? And then even if they did give us the numbers, like what Disney has done a few times, all we can do is compare apples to apples, right? We can't compare these numbers that the BBC or the Walt Disney Company gives us to like Samba's numbers or like Nielsen's numbers, which we're going to get into those in just a second for Disney Doctor Who. But those kind of numbers, you can't really compare them because it's not fair. All we can do is compare them to other Disney numbers that Disney has given us. Same thing with this kind of thing. They don't give us the iPlayers numbers, so they can go out there and say all they want about how well it's doing with this younger generation and yada, 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 and that we're bringing in new viewers. It doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter even if you are bringing in new viewers. If you're losing millions at a time, it does not make up for this new demographic that you're wanting to bring in, because advertisers at the end of the day look at numbers. They don't really care all that much about the demographic as long as the numbers are really high. The target demo is always always been, 18 to 35 or something like that, or 18 to 55 or some stuff like that. Either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're bringing in this new, younger audience that you claim, but you don't give us any numbers for, and then give us any real numbers that we can compare things to. If you're losing millions of viewers every new situation and every new time you launch something, that dog simply will not hunt. He says was generally amazed. So Jordan, who keeps an eye on the ratings, says he was genuinely amazed when he clocked how big the drop was. When consolidated 7-day viewing figures were taken into account, the entire series averaged an audience down almost 1.5 million per episode to compared to Whitaker's last in 2021. And there are a lot of Whovians out there who absolutely will clearly state that Whitaker's era, the Chris Chibnall era, because that's who I blame that on, is Chris Chibnall, was one of the worst eras of Doctor Who we had ever seen. Disney Doctor Who is worse than that in the ratings, boys and girls, just by the numbers alone. And whether or not you loved the show or not doesn't matter. The majority of the fans, the majority of the audience, over half, have tuned out. Have absolutely tuned out. Barb data supplied by Overnight's TV, while it failed to light up Barb's daily 7-day streaming rankings, which were at the time dominated by the likes of Baby Reindeer and Clarkson Farms and Evergreens as EastEnders. Armed with realms of its own internal data, here comes the spin, the BBC repeatedly stressed that the overnights and 7-day figures failed to paint a conclusive portrait. Well, give us the numbers that do paint a conclusive portrait, BBC. Oh, that's right. You won't do that because they're just as bad, if not worse, than the numbers that we have from all of these public rating systems that actually do show us their numbers. They claim that Doctor Who is the top drama for under 35 this year and all of this other kind of nonsense. That Whoziverse iPlayer has been streamed in the entirety nearly 65 million times just this year. But they don't tell us if that's the new episodes or if that's the old episodes or if that's any kind of stuff at all. One industry source was not convinced. The ratings are a problem. They can talk all they like about young viewers, but they're still down from the specials and down from the Jodie Whittaker series. I imagine serious conversations are happening. Disney will want to see results. And they go on to talk about Parrot Analytics. All Parrot Analytics tells you is how many people are talking about something online. Doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or indifferent. All it means is people are talking about it online. And we have seen time and time again that Parrot Analytics do not equal up to either viewing numbers or box office ticket sales. Parrot Analytics is not a fair gauge of actual positive engagement or interest in a show. Stop using these things to make decisions, you fools. Oh, but that's right. They're not using them to make actual decisions because they have better numbers internally with all of the streaming stuff. They're just using it to try to fool the investors and try to fool all of you out there into thinking that this is actually good and it is actually successful. Boys and girls, we have given you the numbers. We know they spent over $130 million just on this first season and the 3 specials, which their viewing numbers have drastically dropped over and over again. This series has lost hundreds of millions of viewers for the Walt Disney Company. Disney Doctor Who has now invested over $100 million in a series that has continued to lose millions of viewers every new iteration and every new time they put something out there. This is objectively a failure. You can love the show. You can love the new direction that Russell T Davies is going in, and all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, 2 plus 2 still equals 4. And that dog will not hunt. $113 million or $130 million or more gone up in flames, boys and girls, for a series that has lost millions of viewers time and time again. I'm sorry if you like the show. I'm sorry if you enjoy it, but the future of Disney Doctor Who is very grim and is very dark. The article continues to go on with other inside sources talking about how there is a lot of questions going on inside of whether or not this show will continue or whether or not the Disney even cares enough for the egg on their face to allow this to expire after the 2-year contract. Reportedly, even the last episode of the 2nd season of Ncuti Gatwa's own series shows that there's a very good possibility it's left open-ended as to whether or not he regenerates into the next into the next Doctor, or whether or not he actually comes back. That's how unsure they are of the future of Disney Doctor Who on the set itself and in the writing room, boys and girls. But keep an eye out. We'll definitely be making another video on all the details of that kind of stuff. But if you've made it this far and you're still here on the video, then you're probably a true Whovian out there who loves actual Doctor Who and when Who is good. So join us at 7 p.m. on Sunday nights. We'll join my co-host, Mr. Grant Gregory, and our dear, sweet, beautiful Sunker Maiden to go over when Doctor Who was good. It is a series watch along. It's not just us reviewing the episodes. You guys actually get to watch the episodes with us. So come join us on 7 p.m. on Sunday nights for when Who was good. Because trust me, boys and girls, Disney Doctor Who is objectively not good and an absolute waste of well over $100 million. Burn, Disney, burn. You did it to yourself.